Welcome to the Weather Insights Briefing. I'm meteorologist Scott Pitney along with meteorologist Jeff Lindner. We're recording this on January 9th. We're looking at the water vapor satellite here, which is showing that low. When we saw it yesterday, that mid-level low was over Baja. Now it's moved into Mexico. We're seeing that moisture come in with that as well. And out ahead of that, we've got rain, sleet, snow, all that in North Texas and rain south of there along the coast. And we're going to see that pretty much continue throughout the rest of the day. We'll see the rain pick up in southeast Texas later on, late this afternoon into early evening as the center of that low gets closer to us. We'll also see those surface winds pick up too as that low is starting to ramp up as it gets things going and closer to the Texas coast and the areas northeast of there. Right now, you see the blue shaded area. That's heavy snow up in North Texas. The pink shade is a mixture of sleet and probably some freezing rain in there as well. And then when you get south of there, the green shade, of course, is the rain. And again, that'll continue as we have multiple advisories in effect mainly for the winter stuff. We got the winter weather warning in pink and the winter weather watch in the purple shade. If I've got that right, Jeff. Yeah. Or winter storm warning, excuse me. Winter storm warning in the pink and winter storm watch in the purple. Of course, in Texas, I've got to review that every year since we don't see it that frequently. But that's the watches and warnings are a little bit more widespread than what we saw yesterday, Jeff.
Yeah, so you can kind of see here where the worst of it's going to be is in the winter in the pink and the winter storm warning area, and then we have this advisory area here, and this is really for ice and sleet and maybe some slushy snow accumulations. What we've seen this morning, the temperatures are about a degree, maybe two cooler up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and to be honest with you, that's all it's going to take
Yep.
to really make a difference up there, and that's resulting in more probably snow so far, especially on the north and west sides of the Metroplex versus the ice. We'll see if they warm up enough today to kind of transition into like a sleet, freezing rain, snow mix. But some of the accumulations, I think I've seen 3 inches already in McKinney, Texas. And so some of those higher accumulations may verify up here in North Texas as we get into later today. You can see we still have some ice potential here for the freezing rain in the hill country. Again, this is west of the I-35 metro area, so we're not looking at any issues in Austin, San Antonio. Waco is going to be probably right along the line there, but this is really out towards Abilene and San Angelo and then out toward the Midland, Odessa area. We do have some issues right now out in West Texas. TxDOT El Paso has had to close some highways out there because of ice on the surface portions, not just the bridges and overpasses, but the surface portions of the highways. And so, again, this is kind of a marginal event with temperatures hovering right around 30, 31, 32. It's where we see those temperatures drop into the upper 20s is where we're probably going to see the more substantial travel issues. And so this is probably going to be up around the I-20 corridor and then further out to the north and the west and then up into northeast Texas. Again, mentioning the snow, we're still looking at this kind of 2 to 3 inches on the north side of Dallas and Fort Worth up towards the Red River, 5 to 6 inches. But we have seen some reports already this morning on the north side of the Metroplex of 2 to 3 inches on the ground. The question is, does that continue to fall as snow or does it transition over for a period this afternoon into some freezing rain and sleet, which kind of brings those totals down a little bit? But if it doesn't, if we're able to keep some of that cold air, especially in the air column in place, we could see these totals a little bit higher. But the point being, travel up here in the Metroplex, say north of Waco, north of Buffalo, Texas, north of Centerville, is really going to be a challenge as you get into tonight and tomorrow. And I keep getting questions over and over. When's it going to improve? It's really not going to improve a whole lot tomorrow because the temperatures really don't get above freezing until probably sometime on Saturday. And so we're probably not going to see a lot of improvements on the roadway conditions up here until Saturday when the sun comes out and the temperatures really warm up. And so if you're traveling up there for the Cotton Bowl tomorrow night, you're gonna have some issues. It's not going to be fun, especially on those high flyovers and the bridges and overpasses. And then of course down here, it's the rainfall we're going to be taking a look at for this evening and tonight.
Yeah, we've got that coastal low again moving in. And what's tricky about the coastal low is just that distance from the coast and where that rain gradient sets up. We've seen it kind of go back and forth yesterday along the coast. The models keep you up anyway, was showing around 3 to 4 inches, maybe 1, 2, and even 3 inches inland. Probably going to trend that down a little bit to 2 to 3 inches right along the immediate coast, maybe 1 to 2 inches further inland. But it doesn't take much shift in that um, for an area, a little training effect or something like that for an area to get some amounts higher than that. But right now, this is what the model's showing. Again, 2 to 3 along the coast, 1 to 2 further inland for rain amounts in southeast Texas. And we're also going to see the wind impacts too. We've got some coastal flood advisories just east of the Houston metro, getting into Louisiana there. So a lot of wind impacts with this rain too. And when I looking at the model runs this morning, I was showing more activity, light to moderate rain in the early morning, which we have not seen in Houston Metro yet. So those rain amounts may be a little bit lower. And then also looks like this thing's tracking a little bit faster. So showed some residual rain tomorrow morning, which we could still have, but it looks like this thing's going to be out of here sooner than that right now, according to the latest model runs, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it kind of comes together tonight. These coastal lows are kind of tricky, as you said. It may be a little bit slower in forming up here. And the air mass, we're still having to go through some work of moistening the air mass locally. It's still cold and dry outside. It's still going to be cold with all this coming on, but the dry portion of the low level of the atmosphere is starting to moisten up. And so I suspect here in the next few hours we'll start to see things light up here locally. I want to talk a little bit about the tides on the coast. With this coastal low getting going, we're talking 1008, 1007 millibar low pressure coming up through the coastal waters
Mhm.
tonight. So we're talking, I mean, we've had tropical storms of that magnitude on the
Yeah.
upper Texas coast. And so it's no surprise with that easterly and northeasterly push of wind on the north side of the low that you're going to start getting some elevation in the tides on the coast. And you can see here, we actually have a pretty steep rise in the water level this evening. So this would be around 6 o'clock this evening, high tide. And we could be 3 to 4 feet above what we call mean low low water. That's the barnacle level down along the coast. And so
Mhm.
some of those typical vulnerable areas over on Bolivar, around Rollover, Highway 187, 124, Blue Water Highway down in Missouri County, possibly some issues on the west end, maybe down at Sargent in the Matagorda County area, where you typically have issues on the Gulf facing beaches. That's what we're looking at tonight. We don't anticipate issues really up in the bays because this is not a prolonged event that lets the water kind of pile into the bay and get trapped in there. And additionally, a lot of this is being helped along by the big seas. We're talking 8 to 14 feet developing in our coastal waters. So those big waves coming up to the Gulf beaches, kind of piling more and more water on there. And then lastly, the winds. I mean, this thing's going to really get cranking this evening. So this is around early evening tonight, just after sunset. And you can see here's the broad kind of low pressure right here off the upper Texas coast, hugging the coast. And everything you see here in this yellow and even these darker colors are 30, 40, 45 knots. So we could be talking 40, 50 mile an hour winds across our coastal waters out here. Definitely gale conditions across the coast, and wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw winds between 35 and 45 miles per hour, especially in gust down on the Gulf beaches. So we're talking Bolivar, Galveston Island, maybe up into Galveston County, a little bit into Missouri and Chambers County. So it's going to be blustery, it's going to be cold, it's going to be rainy, potentially heavy rain down on the coast, and even up into the metro area this evening. And so conditions are going to deteriorate as we get into tonight and then improve pretty quickly tomorrow, but still cold and cloudy and windy even into tomorrow with highs again in the 40s before a nice warm up this weekend, possibly all the way up into the mid 60s on Sunday before another cold front comes down Sunday night.
Yeah, yeah. Supposed to get some sun, so that sun will heat things up quick. That'll be a relief. But as you said, then we're basically in a cold pattern for a while with a little break this weekend. So that'll be a nice break. Of course, you can get the latest weather briefings from us by making sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, the Weather Insights YouTube channel. Subscribe, be sure to turn on your notifications there and check out our Weather Insights webpage for the latest briefings. Jeff, thank you very much. Until next time, sir.